are you a drag artist full time, or is it something which you do just out of passion?
I am a drag artist full time. My part time job is being an artist manager. I take care of queer artists, artists from the LGBT community. Just checking if I can do events for them and make it more streamlined, and that's what I do.
And I want to know, in India, is there a lot of competition amongst drag artists?
So the thing is, drag is an art form. You can't keep it as a competition unless it's something to do with pageants. Now, like how we have Miss Universe, Miss World. So drag can be streamlined on those lines. But drag is an art form. There are different types of drag. So you can't compare each drag form with the other. Like for me, instance, I do a lot of Indian drag. Like I get into sari, I do kurta pajama, salwar kameez. So that's my kind of niche that I have made out of my art form. So while there are other kinds of drag art, people who actually wear Western outfits, people who actually do more in terms of gender fluid. So it's different forms of drag. So I can't say that no, there is competition, and I can't even say that that we kind of keep it separate from each other. We all celebrate each other. We are a community, like how you said, we are a community at the end of the day, and that's what we focus on. So we celebrate. Right now, we don't have any pageant sort of competitions, but hopefully, maybe in the future.
I hope so. It'll be fantastic to watch.
Yeah. Watch it, yeah.
Absolutely. So, Alex, I want to know a little more about you and about Maya. And how are you both similar, and how are you both not so similar?
So ultimately, I keep saying to people, because people see always Maya, like I'm always putting content about Maya, the drag queen, out there. People don't see the real me, that is Alex. But I keep saying that Maya and Alex are the same, just that Maya is like the 1,000 times version of me. So when I go on stage, it's larger than life character. So that's what drag is all about. Everybody thinks, oh, drag, matlab, just put makeup and put a dress on and go on stage. No, you have to build a character. You have to make sure that you are not offending people. Like there are people who keep thinking that we actually make fun of women. But we don't make fun of women. We actually celebrate women or celebrate femininity. That's what we do. So ultimately, that's what I've been doing for 6 years now. The reason why I started drag is because, like, I'm a theater kid at heart. I've always loved to perform. And I've been performing in various shows, theater, etc. But I was not getting the role that I really wanted. So people, if I go and audition as Alex, people were not getting it. People were like, oh, you got this femininity in you that is not matching with the masculine character. And I've got a very thick Malayali accent as well. So people were like, it's not a right fit. So that's when I started watching a lot more movies, and I came across 2 movies, that is Mrs. Doubtfire and Chachi Chasubi's.
Right.
And I was like, if Robin Williams and Kamala Hassan can do drag, I can do drag too.
Absolutely.
And with that, I started watching many more movies, reality shows. I came across a United Kingdom drag queen known as Dame Edna. I came across RuPaul in US. So with that, I was like, okay, you know what? Then I thought, okay, let me come back to my land and let's see if there is any drag queens. And I found only one person, and that was Queenie Harish. He's no more. But, I had the chance to talk with him and meet with him. So ultimately, I made this character known as Mayamma. Literal meaning from Malayalam to English is mother of illusion. So when I go on stage, I perform the illusion of a woman. That's what I wanted to do. And I've been morely in terms of I was actually celebrating femininity and also talking about gender equality, feminism, and individualism. That is what I've been, telling people. Ultimately, if I have to put it in a simple words, what I was telling people is just be yourself. Don't go into terms of, oh, that person is doing like this, so I have to conform to what that person is doing. Or, that my family members telling me to be like this, so I have to be like this. For 25 years of my life, I've been hearing the same thing over and over again. You are not like this, you are not like that, you are not like this. And I'm like, why do I have to abide by all of this? Who made this rule book?
Right.
Maya actually made me realize that there are no rules. I can make my own rules.
Yeah.
And ultimately, I live by that. I actually just don't care about other people, what they think about me and all of that. So this is me as Alex and Maya. Yeah, like initially I said, what is the difference between Alex and Maya? That Maya is like the 1,000 times magnified version of Alex. Right now I'm just talking, but when you get me on stage, I'm more animated. I am more fun to watch. So that's a short bit about how I am.
You're singing, you're expressive, you're singing, your sari is like, just shining on stage. It was a pleasure to watch you perform.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
And I think you're completely living by RuPaul's comments saying we're all born naked and the rest is drag. I love the fact how you embraced femininity, and I would really want you to say something about men embracing femininity in this way, in a healthy way. I think it's very inspiring.
So I keep telling people that we, irrespective of gender, we always have a bit of masculinity and femininity. So we, if you're just a man and you just are only a man, that is wrong actually. Men also have feminine traits, and it's very beautiful if you accept it and you flaunt it in a different way. I know men who wear nose rings and they're straight. So a lot of people think, oh, you're wearing a nose ring, so you are gay. And I mean, why do you have to like put in so much of restrictions, putting people in boxes? He's flaunting himself. He has a nice nose. He's putting nose ring on, so it looks great on him. So why not? So there are those certain things that I love when men embrace their femininity. It's very important that all men actually embrace their femininity, and there is a beautiful side to it. And there is nothing wrong, because thing is, the whole bit is that people think that being feminine means you are weak. That's not true. Shakti is the most strongest form that exists in all our body. So if people actually accept that, I think you have the biggest strength on earth. So for me, I'm the biggest example. If I can rock my femininity, then you can do too.
Thank you so much for saying that. I think it's fantastic what you're doing. Why the drag queen? I mean, there's got to be an Indian term for drag, right? The history goes on.
So, see, the thing is, like how in Shakespearean times or the 17th century, women were not allowed to perform in theatre or any form of art form. The same thing happened in India too. Women were not allowed to perform in any art form for the longest time in India. Like in South India, we have Kathakali, Teyyam, Yakshagana, where the men actually perform as the women roles. That's what they do. So, it's very interesting that drag has been there for the longest time. Just that when I performed, or when I started performing as a drag queen in September 2014, I just took it as an art form. Like I just said, it's a art form in itself. I didn't have to equate it to Kathakali or to Yakshagana or to Teyyam. So when I'm going to different states in India and actually giving out like TEDx talk and all of that, I had people actually come up to me and say, this is the local form where the men perform as drag queens. And I was shocked. I was like, So this has been there for the longest time. It is not something which is new. Talk about the history of drag, like Indian drag especially. And it's very informative because people keep thinking this is a new thing, this is a new art form, but it's been there for the longest time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I think what was not there before was toxic masculinity. So the men
Exactly.
found it easier to embrace femininity, and ever since
Exactly.
that
Exactly. I completely agree with you. Toxic masculinity is actually come from the Western constructs of drag. Like before the British people turned up in India, we were actually a free living society. We actually didn't care about if you were a trans woman, trans man, or an intersex person, or a gender fluid person, or just you're ready to embrace your femininity. It's post when this whole bit of all this, if you're a man, you're a man, if you're a woman, you're a woman, and nothing else in between. That is why this whole bit of toxic masculinity came. I will give you extra information, but even the blouse that we wear for sari was actually not there for the longest time. It was when the British women said that if we are wearing shirts with our skirts, why don't you wear something similar to it? And that is how blouses turned up.
Oh wow, my God.
So if you notice, women in the pre-whatever time they came to India, they already had something called as blouses or short blouses. And then suddenly they imposed it on Indian women, because most of the Indian women were actually they were not wearing anything on without a blouse. So if you go back to even history, look at all the pictures in the history pictures, whatever, you will see the women are bare chested. There was nothing covering it. So that is how free we were, that is how we were ready to be okay, this is normal to our society. Just that when they turned up, we were imposed with so much of constrictions, or a lot of restrictions basically on how to express ourselves.
I can feel my boobs rebelling, because the bra and the blouse are such a restriction, and you feel that
I agree.
Domination, you feel it, that it's something.
I agree. And women, the thing is, women were actually very confident, the state I came from, because there was this whole bit of, there was something called as the breast tax. So when women are covering it, they had to pay tax for covering their bosom. So what happened was, it came to a point where a woman covered herself, and there were a lot of people coming to her and asking for the tax. And it came to a point where she just cut off her breast and just gave it to them. This is my tax. I don't have money. So this is my tax. She died on the spot, but that act actually led them to actually, not have that tax at all.
Right.
So this is what is happening to us. When you restrict us, such stuff pops up. Toxic masculinity pops up. Right. So it's really important to have, how we are having a conversation right now, it's very important for a lot of people to have conversations around it. Educate. The thing is, we are all ignorant. I'm also ignorant at certain areas. Right. I'm not a well-known person, a well-read person. But educate us. Let's learn it together. So I might know more about the LGBT community and the drag community more than you. But you would know more about being a feminist and being a woman more than me, because I identify myself as a cisgender male. You identify as a cisgender woman. So our journeys are different, but when we share experiences like this, we get to know each other, we understand each other better.
Alex, tell me, how is the environment in India for a drag artist? Because North has a lot of toxic masculinity, and while we go towards South, the culture, environment, everything changes.
Right. So the thing is, when I started in 2014, people didn't know anything about drag queens. They didn't know anything about who is a drag queen, who's a drag king. what do we do on stage? I had all these questions being imposed on me, all these assumptions being imposed on me. Is he transitioning to be a transgender? Is he going to be a full-time cross-dresser? Ultimately, it was me screaming the whole time, me saying, no, I am this, trying to put a placard on my head saying that this is who I am. There's so many of those on those lines. And ultimately now it's 2020, so it's been 6 years. It was almost around 2017 and 18 when the conversation changed. Like there were a lot more people coming out. There were a lot more people actually, embracing themselves, and that is what led to this conversation around, drag as an art form. Like I never in my wildest dream thought that I would be featured in Vogue. Like Vogue India featured me in 2019, September 2019. So that is something. That is a change. That means we are being put into mainstream. So right now what is happening is we are being mainstream, but we have a lot more work to do. Like post the the repeal of Section 377, what has been missing now is that we are not educating people about ignorance. People are not understanding what is a drag queen, what is a drag queen, who is a gay man, who is a lesbian woman. Why are trans man, trans women getting transition? All of those questions are still in the dark. Like what should have happened was that after the repeal, they should have been a sort of like a sex education or sort of like an education imposed where children are learning more about the community, because that is very important. So that is what is missing out on these days. Women rights and LGBT rights go hand in hand.
Absolutely.
There is no difference as such. No. Like we have similar journeys.
I want to know from you, how is, and I felt it too, how is a drag performance, empowering, like a feminist empowering movement as well? I mean, I could see it with all the performances. I could feel it also.
So, like I said in the beginning, that we don't make fun of women. We actually celebrate the women. We celebrate womanhood. When I go on stage, I celebrate femininity. I tell people, hey, you know what? It's okay to be your most feminine self. It is okay to, like, as I am, I can't say that I'm gender fluid. You can visibly see that I'm a man, and when I go on stage, I shapeshift myself to be the most beautiful woman on earth, the most desirable Indian woman on earth.
Absolutely.
So,
the straight hair, the sari, the perfect.
Yeah, and like in lockdown, I think my a mother has helped me more, in terms of tying the sari properly. And she keeps telling me, watch me so that you can learn it by yourself. Yeah. That you can know how to tie the sari yourself.
I think sari, I mean, it's off topic, but I've seen my mom and grandmom wear saris while talking, while cooking, while scolding, while cursing the children. They're just keeping their saris and they're like, hello. I think you draw a lot of inspiration from your mom.
Yes, I mean, I keep telling that if I found anybody inspiring, that is her. Like, she's taught me how to be strong. She's taught me how to navigate away from negativity. She's taught me how to be silent. Like, the thing is, in this time, there is so much of noise that our noise would either hurt us or hurt somebody else. Right. So my mother has told me to navigate all of that through being just silent. Like, you don't have to make a noise. When you be silent, that is the most powerful thing that you can do. Only on important things you can voice it out, but don't have to be like, and voice it out in such a way that it is informative. Okay. Like, if I am talking about transphobia and homophobia, which is there in society, talk about how I'm going to tackle it. Talk about how I am going to be like more in terms of telling people how to, treat people better, how to treat humans better. So for me, I've learned all those qualities from her, and that is very important. We all need to learn this actually.
Absolutely. How do you tackle though? You're absolutely right. There's a lot of phobia related to, these terms, unfortunately, and amongst educated people.
Ultimately, like how I would say how to tackle. Like earlier, I spoke about education.
Yes.
Now, if you have a good education where people actually know the different alternate sexualities, different types of gender, and put in the message that they are at the end of the day human beings, it would have a different effect on a person. They might not still understand everything in the first go, but they will have a different view or a different perspective towards that person. Like for me, whenever I encounter a homophobic person, what I do is I try to make them understand that listen, I come from a place of love. I don't have anything against you. You are an ignorant person. You don't know about this, so I'm educating you about this.
Right.
But it's up to the person if they are ready to take the education or not. Yes. So for me, I'll try to take the horse all the way to the water, but if the horse is not ready to drink, that's not my problem. So, but then at least I made an effort. Absolutely. Because that is something which we need to do. Like you are an ally. Like I see you as an ally to the community, and you have learned a lot about me now. So when you meet another person, and if the person is like, oh, drag queens are like this, drag queens are like, transitioning into being a transgender, you can be like, no, it's not right. So having conversations like that can actually change how to, any sort of phobia towards a person.
What do you see as in the future of the art and its acceptance?
What I see in the future that I keep saying to people whenever they ask me what do you want to see for Indian drag especially, I would like to see an Indian drag queen and a drag king coming from each state and where they represent the culture of the state. Because see, I embody the Indian culture, but I can't be embodying every Indian state culture.
Yeah.
So that's something which we need to do. That is something which is very important.
Maya will lead the way as mother. And we all come from the same state. I mean, this is going to be fantastic. I hope that happens. Amen to that.